if God isn't going to put those people back in your life, he's going to do it and it's going to be healthy this time.
Yes.
I think the biggest thing is just working on making sure it's a healthy space for you. Mental health has to come first.
Yes.
You have to come first.
Absolutely.
Because you're no good to nobody else if you're not good to yourself.
Not good to yourself. Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Queen's Vantage podcast. I am so fortunate because I'm sitting down with Rugie Bhonopha, owner and founder of Amoy Wines. Rugie, welcome to the throne.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you.
Yes.
So let's cheers. Before we get started,
yes,
I just want to say I wish you so much love.
Thank you.
Peace and prosperity with your wine business and just all that you have to come.
Thank you.
I feel so blessed and lucky and privileged to sit down with you today.
I love it. Thank you.
So
I feel the same. I just, I love what you're doing. I'm excited. It's an honor to be asked to be on your podcast and come and talk to you because, we talk. This is going to be a good one.
Yes. So cheers. So, girl, what you got going on? I am just loving all that I've been seeing online. I really enjoyed having brunch with you recently.
Yes.
And just from one woman to another, just so proud and so inspired by all that you're doing.
Oh, thank
so
you.
Why don't you tell Queen's Vantage a little bit about yourself today and what we have to look forward to?
Okay. Well, again, thank you for having me. I am the owner of Amoy Wines, which is a boutique wine company, started in the middle of the pandemic with one of my really good friends, who's also my co-owner, Kim Ribberty. And she is also the owner of a marketing company. So, it just really worked. We've done business in the past, and it's called Global Branding. And so I reached out to her and I had this idea because, again, I was drinking wine during the pandemic. None of us could go anywhere.
Right.
So I was just like, I was selling wine as a distributor for another company. And I was just like, what if I had my own wine? Of course, I was drinking during the time.
Yeah.
But it ended up being really good to look into. So I reached out to some contacts, kept doing some research. And then our first release was our rosé.
Okay.
And
which we're drinking today.
Yes, we're drinking that today. And I decided to pull a Beyonce.
Okay.
Where it was on a Wednesday. I let everybody know that I had a wine coming out. And then I went live on Friday.
I love it.
Sold out in 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Completely out. We had to call our distributor back and ask them to up our inventory. And it was just like the beginning of where Amoy could go.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know how far I wanted to take it, but I know that this was divine because everything happened. Like God literally set everything up and it was like effortlessly. And people believed in me without even tasting my product.
Wow.
So,
well, that says a lot about who you are.
Yeah.
And let's just talk about the meaning of Amoy Wines, which means
beautiful goddess.
Beautiful goddess.
Yeah.
And I think this is a representation of us and women of color. And one of the things that I actually read, it was a quote, I believe, from your website that talked about us occupying these spaces.
Correct.
And how we could have something luxury, but also representation of someone that looks like us.
Yeah. I think it's very important to have representation, especially in this age that we're in of diversity, inclusion. In the wake of George Floyd, there's so many aspects of diversity. But until we're able to fully occupy those spaces, you have to step foot in them.
Absolutely.
You can't question it.
Yeah.
Because most of the time they're like, oh, people don't want us there.
Yeah.
We can't necessarily give them that option anymore.
Yeah.
We have to literally step into your purpose of, I want to do this. I'm going to do it. And to me, there's really no limit on what it is we can do.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people sometimes are like, you have to focus on one thing. I'm not necessarily like that. I'm very much a multitasker.
Okay.
I really enjoy making sure that I try something. I don't want to question like, oh, I wish I would have did it.
Yeah. Well, I love what you said about what if. And I think so many of us have these great ideas and we keep them in our heads and maybe we share them with our friends. But you said, what if? What if I started my own wine?
Yeah.
And you did. And like you said, you did a Beyonce and dropped it and sold out. And it just shows that with perseverance and actually just that self-belief that we can do all things.
Yeah. And I think the biggest part about it is sometimes you have to have a team.
Yes.
And your team has to also believe in your dream.
Yeah.
And sometimes my dreams are very wild.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make it happen.
I love that. And you're absolutely right. Having a team is so important. With podcasting, there's I'm not a technical person. Believe it or not, I did go to school for computer software, but my team, which we're lean and we're mean, AJ, but I think we do incredible things. And what you're so right, like who we're surrounded around is so important and key to our success.
You have to. For me, it's definitely my family, my amazing partner. He really holds me down in terms of, he's my boyfriend, but, that's my teammate, you know? And so when I brought this to him, because when you're doing something like wine, which is a costly, it affects, what comes into the house, what goes out. And so to have somebody who just is like, I believe in you, like you do it. And then I have my business partner, Kim, who, when I have an idea, she will literally take it out of my head and bring it to life, i.e. the label. I wanted an elephant.
Yeah, can we talk about the label? It is so beautiful.
So the elephant is the first, because that was our first release, and it was a nod to my Sierra Leonean culture. My grandmothers both wore head wraps all the times, and I just loved the elephant. Elephants are just majestic creatures. They're big, but they're gentle. And so I think being able to recognize that, and then the eyes, I wanted them really defined with lashes because it gives that femininity to it. And then also just the details on the elephant. I think that it's like an X sketch inside of our hearts of generations and what you're birthing. Because when you have a business, you're not just doing it for yourself.
Yes.
It's create generational wealth. And that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And so thinking about generations and then giving my nod to my Sierra Leonean culture,
absolutely,
my Salone people. And then the red, the cab, what we wanted to do is kind of give it that luxury vibe. So I wanted to elevate. And that was like the goal of it, because we released our cab almost a year after the rosé.
Yeah.
And so it's one of my best sellers.
It is. And actually, I'm not a huge fan of cab. And I think I told you this at the event where we actually met in person.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow, this is a real smooth cab. There's no aftertaste.
Yeah.
It's not harsh. Because to me, cabs can be a little harsh at times. And it's fabulous.
Thank you.
It's definitely one that I want to keep in my collection.
Yes. And so we really pride ourselves on tasting, making sure we have the right notes, and what also fits with our personalities.
Yes.
Because when I want something I can drink every day, I want something that I could take somewhere and somebody's like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the goal.
Yeah. So tell us, what else is coming in the collection?
So we're going to be having a white coming out soon.
Okay.
And so I'm really excited about that. Certain people will get to be the first samplers of that at our first spring picnic. We're just inviting a couple of close people who are subscribers, who are top purchasers. And we really want to give them an elevative experience and also make it exclusive.
Okay.
I think exclusivity is very important.
Absolutely.
You can't take everybody with you.
You cannot take everyone with you.
Sometimes some things are not for everyone.
Yes.
And you have to be okay with that.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's a harsh reality.
Yeah.
But we have to take heed to that.
Yeah.
And so we want to give an exclusive members only event to really thank those people.
Yeah. Can you say when that event is being held?
It's going to be May 19th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's coming up very soon.
Yes, at a beautiful venue. We're really excited. We're working with Picnic Potential, which is my sorority sister's picnic company. She is just amazing because I had this wild idea and she was just like, well, let me do it for you.
Yeah.
And you don't have too many people that are just like, I believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I want to be a part of that first experience.
Yeah.
Where, again, everything is so expensive nowadays. So
Absolutely.
it's just like, thank you.
Yeah.
You have to really thank those people that really look out for you when you're building a brand and a company.
Absolutely. So tell me, what has it been like navigating this space? Because I know that in the upcoming, there's been more and more African American. I know you're first generation American, but for people that look like us, there has not been a lot of folks like us in this space. So what has it been for you navigating the space, getting your wine out there?
It's actually been really nice. People have been so welcoming.
Okay.
You have people like other Black-owned wines, the Pour Up. You have Black Excellence Wine Company. You have so many people who just want to see you win.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the most amazing spaces in just being able to go to certain places and show my wine.
Yeah.
That's been really good, you know.
Is there any advice that you would give to other folks if they were thinking about getting into the wine business?
Do your research.
Yeah.
You have to do research. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
You have to really think about what it is you want to do because it becomes expensive.
Yeah.
And we're not coming from generational wealth.
Yeah.
We're making it on our own. We're the first people that are really doing this and really trying to make it happen. And so we don't have the funds that everybody else has.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that is something that we have to go out and look for.
Yeah.
So look for places that are going to allow you to get that funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple things. You talked about the what if, and that's the dream.
Yeah.
Right. So what if I was in this space and you talked about your circle and the folks that you have around you? What is something else that you find is very critical in order for any business to thrive?
I would say it is about connecting with other like-minded individuals. Places like Black Vines, they're giving so much light to BIPOC wine companies. And then you also have to just look at your circle in terms of who's really there to support you.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as a repost. And most people don't take that, it could be a like.
Yeah.
And sometimes those likes equal sales. Those reposts equal sales.
Absolutely.
Not everybody's going to buy wine every week.
Right.
Understandably.
Yeah.
But you could repost my stuff.
Yeah.
You could tell people about it.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, so how do you maintain the balance in this? And the reason why I asked the question is, if I'm online and I see that I have like 1,000 views, but like 22 likes, and I feel like people are seeing it, but people aren't liking it. How do you not take that personally? For me, I'm just like, even if I only reached 22 people that were willing to outwardly say, I support you, opposed to the 1,000 of naysayers and watchers.
Right.
But how do you keep your cool, find your balance when you notice that sometimes you're not getting that support, whether it be from people that's close to you or just people from afar?
I think that I really have to just block it out. You have to just focus. If you have those 22 people, there's something that you did that those 22 people like.
Yeah.
And that's going to be good enough.
Yes.
And then those 22 people, at least 5 of them are now going to say, oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Like you were one of the people. You liked one of my posts.
Yeah.
I'm on your podcast now.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, and for the people that...
I wasn't just liking the post, girl. I was following. I was reposting.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes from people that you don't know.
Yeah.
So with business, what happens is when you first start, it's your friends, it's your family.
Absolutely.
They're your original supporters. After that, you now have to get to your target market.
Yes.
Your audience.
Yes.
The people who are going to buy into what it is you're selling.
Yes.
And that's going to be the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
And so when you start to create that niche that you have, it starts to flow.
Absolutely.
And that's what you kind of have to do.
Yeah.
Which is really good in that sense because it teaches you who am I supposed to reach.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then it shows you're able to weed out the people who are automatically going to ask you for a discount. You don't go into Louis Vuitton and ask for a discount. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we just have to get to that point. And sometimes people can't afford it, and you have to be okay with that.
And that's okay too.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And people can't afford it. Some people might not have the time to listen to a whole hour and a half interview.
Yeah.
But if they like it, they repost it, just tell you that they're proud of you.
Yeah.
That's okay. So
I just, I often find that navigating spaces, because I work in corporate America, and, for most of my career, I have worked for PWIs.
yeah.
And if you don't know what that is, predominantly white institutions. And I realized that many of my friends that don't look like me have been some of my greatest cheerleaders. And just speaking candidly about my experience sometimes in our own communities, where it feels like I'm pulling teeth to get support. And I show up in a world, and I think one of my kind of fatal flaws is I always expect people to support me the way I supported them.
Right.
Without, like, it doesn't need to be said. It doesn't need to be asked for, because I'm just one of those, like, overly supportive people.
Yeah.
And just like, and the reason why I asked the question is really for my own personal development of, like, how do I just keep my cool when I realize that I can be everyone else's biggest cheerleader, and I don't always feel that.
Yeah.
But what draws me back is my purpose.
Well, and that's the biggest thing, is if you're walking in your purpose, you have to do that walk.
Yeah.
You can't really worry about what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And how they're reacting.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, what is for you is for you.
Yeah.
And God is going to elevate you to where you're supposed to be regardless.
You know what? You just said it. One of my good friends said, favor ain't fair.
It's not.
So it doesn't matter whether, like you said, in the beginning, it is always the people that are closest to us. But now I have people who I don't even know that follow the podcast and that support the podcast. And it's been a great journey. But I'm also a human at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, we all have feelings,
Yeah.
And does it hurt when certain people who you expect to step up for you the way you always stepped up for them don't? Yeah, you're going to feel it. But at the same time, you also have to learn to accept people for where they are in that moment. And it's okay.
It is okay.
And you just start to, you focus. I think it was Lala who said it. We spend so much time focusing on who wasn't there that we're not worried about the people.
Of the people that were there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so now I appreciate the people that are there. The ones who repost, the ones who purchase.
Yeah.
For me, my wine is a love letter to those people in that sense of, like every time that you drink my wine, you having a good time or you're creating a memory. You're doing it with my wine.
Yes.
I'm a part of that.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful feeling.
On that note, let's take a sip of wine.
Yes.
This is refreshing.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine myself in this moment on a beach, sunny day, blue water, sipping Amoy wine.
That's our goal. Is like, we want you to go to your favorite place. If it's a vacation, the island, for me, it would be St. Martin. Like, that's where, I want to go. Africa. Going to those places where it's us, it's culture.
Absolutely.
Creating a memory.
Where can people find your wine?
On our website, www.amoywines.com.
Okay, we'll make sure that we include it in our caption as well.
Yes, and, we deliver, straight to your door.
Really?
Yeah, or if you're local,
are you
I'll meet up with
subscription
you.
based? Is that
we are there? We're getting there now.
Okay.
And so it's been a process again. For the first couple of years, it was just about shipping out, getting it to your door.
Yeah.
People who are local, I like to deliver it to them directly.
Yeah.
We like to do pop-ups. We also like to do in-home wine tastings. So I'll come, or one of my business partner might go, or my brother, and create an experience for you. It could be like questions, kind of like what we're doing right now, games, laughing, we create a whole curated event for you if that's what you like. And so it's just really about giving you a elevated experience with luxury is what I want to do.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. One of the things that I really wanted with this podcast when I first launched was to be a place of empowerment. So to invite folks that look like me, that was on similar journeys,
right?
And men and women, to really empower us to be the best versions of ourselves.
Yes.
And I think what you're doing, what you're doing in this space is inspiring people to be the best versions of themselves. And like you said, this is a love letter.
Yeah, it is. And I just like people being happy. I
Yeah.
think I'm a nurturer by nature,
Yeah.
you know? I really enjoy cooking,
Yeah.
hosting. I love when family comes over and
Yeah.
I can cook for them. They eat it. I'm always like, did you enjoy it? Did you like it? You know, because I want people to have that moment of having a good time with me and creating those memories. And so that's one thing I really strive for.
Yeah. Now, do you feel like you're a nurturer by nature, or was your mother very nurturing to you as well growing up?
Oh, my mother is everything. I love that lady.
Well, let's talk about it because this episode will release right before Mother's Day.
Yes.
And I really wanted to spend some time with another woman to really honor our mothers. And mine has since passed on. But I just found out today that you share a birthday with my mom.
Yes.
November 17th.
Yes.
Yeah. Which
that is wild.
So when we talked about alignment earlier, I'm like, oh, wow. But yeah, tell me a little bit about your mom.
So my mom is Angela.
Hi, Angela.
She was so excited. I sent her a picture of my outfit to let her know what I was wearing today. She's in Africa right now, so I miss her so much. But she is just an amazing person. She loves her children. She loves family. She's a prayerful woman.
Yes.
Like my mom prays. Like if there's ever anything that I need, question or anything, my mom is just like.
She's there.
Yeah, she's there. She's like, God's got it.
Yeah.
You don't have to don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. Her favorite thing to say to me is surrender it to God. You give it to God.
Yeah.
And if you're going to give it to him all the way.
Ooh. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
That, I have to say, thank you, Mom, for that piece of wisdom. And that is something that I struggle with because I want to be in full control.
Yeah.
And it's not mine.
We all do.
And it's not mine to hold. And so when I, having to give things to God and understand and trust that whatever it is, it is handled.
Yeah. In our divine moments, it's supposed to align with how God has it for us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we push so hard to have it our way.
Yes.
And it's really hard.
Yes.
I struggled with it this week.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, as women, we all want to be mothers.
Yes.
A lot of us go through our struggles of fertility, fibroids, endometriosis, PCOS. There's so many names to it, and it's just one of those moments that I was struggling with this week of my body's not doing what I need it to do, and it's just, you get frustrated. But then again, I call my mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mom, this is what happened. And she was like, don't even stress about it.
Yes.
God's got it, I'm like, I want to be a mom one day, but.
Do you feel the pressures of society or is it the biological clock?
It's more the biological clock.
Okay.
But also, society, I think for me, I loved my 20s.
Yeah.
I loved my 30s.
Yeah.
I had a good time, like
as
I got to
should.
travel.
Yeah.
I was young. For so long, you just like, I just want to be outside.
Yeah.
Like I want to experience life.
Not only that, let's just let the audience know you do have an MBA.
Yeah.
So not only were you having fun, but the girl was getting her education as well.
Yeah. So I also work full time for a hospital. I have my wine company. I also now I'm studying for my life insurance license.
Okay.
I'm doing a lot of different things. And so for me, my goals, I needed to hit.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you're like, okay, well, I don't need to worry about being a mom right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when you're ready to, it might not be as easy.
Yeah.
And that's just for a lot of women. And we don't talk about that a lot.
We don't talk about it a lot. And I don't think that we talk about it enough. Because I, on the other hand, started off very young. I had my first child at 19.
Yeah.
I was married by the time I was 24. And I had 3 children by the time of 30. And had been well into a marriage at that time. And, there's challenges there as well. Right. And so maybe it wasn't challenges necessarily with getting pregnant or having children. But now I'm 40 and I'm no longer married and I'm living kind of a reverse life.
Right.
So what you experienced in your 20s, I'm experiencing
Yeah.
at this age.
And I think it's a beautiful thing when, like my mom says, surrender. It's
Yeah.
like when you're finally at that point where you're like, that was my walk.
Yeah.
And that's what I was supposed
Yep.
to do. Because had I not done it, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't be who I am right now.
Yeah.
And so you have to look at it at
Yep.
that.
It's,
and so
it's your path,
exactly.
your journey.
And so you have those moments of, oh man, you know, like maybe I should have, you know, focused on, you know, possibly getting in a relationship early because that's what, you know.
Yeah.
But then
But that wasn't your journey.
It wasn't my journey.
Like my journey, you know, people look at my journey like, oh my gosh, you had your kids so young and now you're 40 and you have a 20, almost a 21-year-old. And it's, you know, it's just kind of this reverse journey. And I have to find the balance between the two of like, now I'm free and my kids are older and and now I can do all of these other things. But that was my path. It, like you said, both of our paths shaped us to who we are today.
Yes.
And the women that are sitting
exactly
in this room.
But I'm also very blessed because I'm like a momty also. Because
That's
I
right.
have my nieces and nephews
Yes.
who are, those are my babies
Yeah.
right there. You know what I mean? And so I still get that love from children. I love kids.
Yeah.
But I also get to give them back. You know what
Honey, that is a gift within itself.
you know? So it's, you know, I get the best of both worlds in that sense.
Absolutely.
And then I have an amazing, I call him my bonus kid, you know, my boyfriend's son. I get to really, I have an amazing relationship with him.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate in that, you know?
And there are women who have children later in life. And I'm going to ask you this question, and it's a personal question, but are you okay whether it happens or it doesn't happen?
I'm learning to be okay with it. I can't say I'm fully okay.
Thank you for
there's
being
a
honest
yearning,
in that.
there's
Absolutely.
a yearning for motherhood. There's always going to be that. You know, but I feel like in my heart of heart, God's going to bless me with my child. But, you know.
And we pray that.
Yeah.
So we
know,
pray that in Jesus'
name. But
name.
it's also, I'm very thankful for my journey.
Absolutely.
You know, because there are people who are inspired by what I've accomplished over these years of my 40 years of life.
Yeah.
But I also get to, I get to have fun.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I asked that is because, you know, as a woman who had many experiences, so being married, having children, you know, a great career.
Yeah.
But then also being okay, because some people look at that as like, you have the full life. And I'm like, there's so many other things that I want to accomplish that may or may not happen, but having to learn to be okay with what God has for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's been what one of my constant prayers lately is is God, I only want what you want for me.
Right.
Because so often we go after things that, you know, what we feel. And sometimes God is like, this is where I have you. And there's a reason why I have you here.
Yes.
And an example of that, like you said, you have an opportunity to be an aunt and you have a bonus child.
Yeah.
And I have a cousin who did not have children. And I don't know if that was by choice or just life circumstances. She too went to school and got an advanced degree. But later in life, she was blessed to adopt 3 of our cousins who were going into the foster care system. And she went from 0 kids to 3 kids.
Right.
And watching her navigate that space. And I applaud her. So because it's a Mother's Day podcast, I want to give a shout out to my cousin Teresa, who is the mother of 3 amazing kids. But just looking at like whatever God blesses us with and how that happens in life.
Exactly. But I think also I've been fortunate to see so many women in different stages of life as mothers.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful thing. My mom had me late, you know. But I've also seen one of my best friends, Crystal, she has 3 amazing boys at different ages, you know. Then my business partner, Kim, she just became a mom.
Yeah.
And I get to watch her in that evolution because we met. She was young, single. Now she's married. She has a beautiful daughter. You know, you look at that and I get to watch her. I get to watch my cousin Tiana with her 2 kids. And I get to really be a part of their life. I got my cousin Yeniva who's in Africa and she has her daughter. And, you know, I get to see that. I get to just witness amazing women who do motherhood differently in each aspect of life. And you don't get that very often.
Yeah.
Where you get to have front row seats. So I have all of these amazing women, also my aunts, like, and I got a lot. I got my cousins who have twins. I have cousins who,
Yeah.
are other, we call us the rich auntie crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have a front row seat to watching all these
Yeah.
amazing women be nurturers and mothers. And some of the aunts that have been mothers to me, that plays a significant role.
Yeah.
My aunt Golly, that's my girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she gets me,
Yeah.
And then my auntie Ann, who's my mom's sister, she's another one who also raised me when you look at it that way. There's just so many aspects of what mothers are to this universe.
Yes.
And then, you also have people who weren't raised by their moms.
Yes.
And they have to deal with that void. So you have to look at where you're at.
Absolutely.
And women who have lost their moms.
Yeah.
There's so many different levels to how mothers take care of you.
Yeah.
Here, not here. It's, you still feel your mother's love.
Absolutely. And thank you for acknowledging that. As many of my subscribers know and people know in my life that I lost my mother, we just, celebrated is not the word that I'm looking for, but was celebrating her life, but experiencing the seventh year of my mother's passing. And my mother was an amazing woman. She was a kind woman. And one of the things I was reflecting on actually in my drive here today was that my mother taught me to be tough, but she never taught me to truly love. And so I was driving in today. I was like, she made me tough as nails, and how I'm having to unlearn some of those behaviors now. And although I thank her because toughness got me a lot of places, but I think love is going to take me even further.
Yes.
And on this 7th anniversary, I'm realizing that, hey, it's time to soften up a bit. And despite, any hurts and transgressions that have happened in my life, that it's still okay to love.
You have to. I think love is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And I always say I grew up on love.
Yeah.
Like, we don't get off the phone without saying I love you.
Yeah.
We say it multiple times in front of each other's faces.
Yeah.
My parents are amazing. They are parents to other people.
Yeah.
And so, like, I grew up, like, if you're my friend, you come over, my mom's going to be like, come on, what you want to eat? Take care. My dad's going to be like, what you want to drink? Like, that's just how we are as a family. And so, with you saying, like, she raised you to be tough as nails, you needed that for a while.
Yeah.
And, I always feel like mothers know what we need.
Yeah.
And so your mom knew that it was going to be a time where you were going to have to be tough.
Yes.
Because if you weren't tough, you might have broke.
Yes. So many times.
And now you're in a space of, how to handle your toughness.
Yes.
So now you can take your love.
Yeah.
And for me, I had to learn to be tough.
Yeah.
I probably just learned to be tough, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I've always learned to be soft and take care of people and do that. But now I'm like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But it took me a good maybe 5 years ago to do that.
Yeah.
Just to be able to set boundaries with people.
Yeah.
And just accept where I am.
Yeah.
And being okay with that.
How has that shaped many of your relationships? And I'll say a little bit before you go into the answer, but I'm realizing now, there's so many transitions in life, and as I just expressed, being a mom early, getting married early, and what I realized in life was how many people accepted me when I was in a space of not knowing who I am.
Yeah.
Not having boundaries, not loving myself properly, and when it was the woe is me attitude. I had so much support and so many listeners. And then when I started to find my voice, wanted to start honoring myself in spaces where I hadn't before and learning to just be soft with myself,
Right.
that so many people fell by the wayside. And so I'm just curious to know, like, for you in navigating this space, because you are a successful woman. I mean, a beautiful and successful woman, inside and out, Rugie, and I mean that.
Thank you.
How do you find yourself or those relationships shaping when you're setting those boundaries and you're starting to be tough?
You got to remember, sometimes misery loves company.
Ooh.
So sometimes you're going to have people who love to be around you when you're down and when you're not your best.
Yeah.
Because they might feel a little bit higher, or I don't want to say higher,
Yeah.
but they might have gotten to a different level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when you get to that point of your reassurance within yourself
Yeah.
and your confidence and stepping into who you are. I think it changes as we get older.
Yeah.
And like me at 40.
I was going to say, you just celebrated your 40th birthday.
Yeah.
And there's something magical about 40.
So my cousin Tiana was the first person to tell me that when you turn 40, she was like, something happens. She was like, all of a sudden, there's a shift in your back. Your spine goes straight.
Girl.
You sit up and you are just like, this is who I am.
And I'm like, no nonsense.
Right.
I don't have time for it. If I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. I'm not showing up where I don't want to be, where I'm not accepted. And I have the right to change my mind 1 minute before.
You absolutely.
There's just something about 40, something magical about it.
And it's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So
I love it.
shout out to all the ladies that are turning 40 this year or turned 40 recently.
Yes.
Happy birthday. Enjoy this shift. It's so powerful.
It is.
I just, so many things have changed for me. And I feel like I can now say, like, I know who I am.
And it's a beautiful feeling.
And I'm growing, I'm evolving, and I'm still changing.
Yes.
But I know who I am.
And I love it because all my friends and I are all turning 40. Like, we turned 40 around the same time.
Yeah.
Like, my best friend Sheena just turned 40 last week.
Yeah.
Her, my other friend April. Like, we've just been enjoying our 40s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've known my best friend April since we were 5.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, 35 years of friendship.
Yeah.
And to see where we've come as women and just to support each other, I think that's a telling sign as to you have to be okay with yourself.
Yes.
Because if you're not,
you'll
let the society, the world, a man, a woman, whoever you into
tell you who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what I love about it with other women is if we're all sitting at this place and we're focused on ourselves and knowing who we are, then Ruby, what you do in your life does not move me.
Not even a little bit.
I can be here to listen. I can be here to support. And if you need advice, I can offer that to you.
Yeah.
But you know who you are. So I trust that when you come to the table with me, that I don't need to meddle in your business. Like, you know who you are.
Yeah.
And I get to accept you and also be on that journey with you. And I don't think there's enough of that. Like, I want people to be on this journey with me. You don't have to guide me. You don't have to shape me. What I'm looking for is support.
Right. And sometimes you have to be okay with the people who are not supporting you.
Yeah.
Because what that does is that takes you to your next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it move them out the way.
Yeah.
Because it's going to bring people who are supposed to be there.
Yeah. So it's a segue into the part of the session that I call taboo talk.
Okay.
And I'm just going to put it out there. So earlier you said everybody can't go.
No.
Everybody can't go. And I think that I have talked about this on this platform, like how do we move through space where we're truly supporting one another, building healthy relationships, but also knowing like how to cut the cord in places or with people and things that we, like whatever it is, that no longer can go with us. Like, how do we release that baggage? And I'm just curious to know for Rugie, who is this pioneer that sits before me, a queen that shares this throne with me today, how do you navigate and make those moves in a very healthy way when you realize that someone that's on this journey with you can no longer go?
You pray.
Okay.
And then you have to just accept it.
Yeah.
You got to let it go.
Yeah.
Because everybody can't go.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you release that negativity, because sometimes there's signs. There's they talk about red flags.
Ooh, say it.
That you've seen that you just kind of accept from people.
Yeah.
And I think when you do that, you'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, especially now 40. Who has the time?
No, but I was just thinking that, like, nobody has time for that.
I'm not kissing nobody's butt. Yeah.
And I'm okay to, like, grieve, too, a relationship,
you have
right?
to.
So, like, I love what you said about, like, is prayer and meditation. And then also I accept the stages of grief, that I'm going to grieve this relationship because anyone that I have allowed in, I truly love and adore.
Yeah.
So if I have to sever myself from that relationship, there is sadness that comes with it. But what I always pray is, God, allow me to feel the sadness. I never want to be bitter.
Yes.
I never want to be bitter. I want to wish whatever it was and whoever it was, love and light. And then move on in a space where I can be open, because perhaps that's opening the seat at the table for another human being that is meant to go with me on this other journey. And one of my greatest gifts in this, what came to me was, we are actually meant to experience each other.
Yes.
I don't own, not even the person that I'm dating. I don't own that person. We don't own our significant others. We don't own our friends. We are just meant to be on this journey and experience one another. And when that experience does not feel like it's one that you want, is conducive to your growth or where you're going, it's okay to let it go.
Yeah. No, you have to. It's a telling sign when you have to grieve those friendships. Because we've been through it.
Yes.
Like I understand what that's like.
Yeah.
You have friendships. Sometimes it's family.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
But, if God is going to put those people back in your life, he's going to do it and it's going to be healthy this time.
Yes.
And so I think the biggest thing is just working on making sure it's a healthy space for you, because your mental health has to come first.
Yes.
You have to come first.
Absolutely.
Because you're no good to nobody else if you're not good to yourself.
Not good to yourself. Well, on that note, I think you've heard it from the queen herself. Listen, Rugie, it has been such a pleasure to have you here on Queen's Vantage Podcast.
So
this is her wine. Please check it out. She now has a white that's releasing very soon.
Yes.
Please go follow Rugie. She's on Instagram under Amoy Wines.
Yeah, Amoy_wines. And you can follow me also personally at Rugie B.
All right.
Yes.
Check her out. Listen, this is a wine that you want to support. This is a woman that you want to support. That's been another episode of Queen's Vantage Podcast. And listen, to all of my viewers, all of my subscribers, just remember, our crowns may tilt, but they will never, ever fall off. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Queen's Vantage Podcast. Please remember to go follow us on YouTube and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Queen's Vantage Podcast. And we're also on TikTok, y'all. So listen, there's more videos. Click the next button.